Hi, I'm your host Terry J. Aman with Great Northern, George Michael, Green Day, Gorillaz, Gin Blossoms, Grace Potter, The Nocturnals, Glee, Ghost, Garfunkel and Oates, Good Charlotte, Saving Grace, Garbage, Gotye and Gavin Mikhail, and Gavin Mikhail, the cast of Hair. This episode of VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack is brought to you by the letter G. Hit it! VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack. Episode 8. Houses. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about some absolute overlap between my two media podcasts. Since 2017, I've put together 90 episodes so far talking about my media collection over on VideoFuzzy, and this marks my 8th episode since last fall talking about my music collection on VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack. My current music collection has been accumulating since I was in high school and college. Around 2007, I ripped all my CDs and added my cassettes to my digital collection, which at the time came out to about 3,000 songs thereabouts. I'm estimating close to 4,000 now, so I've just continued to add more and more music over the years. LPs, soundtracks, compilations, individual songs as I've encountered them, and that gets us into our topic for today. Title track. So, favorite artists will release new material, or I'll hear music on the radio or in shows and movies that I enjoy, and I'll add them to my collection. In the case of the title track for this one, I pulled up Disc X232 from my current direct-to-digital collection, where I archived the 4th season finale of The Magicians, once called The Seam, but The Seam's pretty much everywhere to have been renamed No Better to Be Safe Than Sorry, and I'll get to that in a moment. I wanted to confirm that this was the episode Houses by Great Northern appeared in. I remember watching this episode live because I'd been having problems with the grid recordings of this show at the time, and indeed this ended up being a good move. I can affirm that about 9:20 p.m. Wednesday, April 17th, 2019, I heard the 2009 release Houses by Great Northern as part of the 4th season finale of The Magicians. I go to my digital collection and I see I added that song to my collection April 20th, 2019 at 11:30 p.m. That includes tracking it down via lyric searches for my first 7 or 8 times running that scene back while beloved characters all over the world work together. Professionals, amateurs, hedge witches, teachers, librarians, old ones, Florians, anyone capable of using magic in resonance with everyone else to enforce the incorporate bond binding the essence of the nameless ones until they could be contained in the seam, the space between the universe and the anti-universe. I loved that song. It was so powerful. Since adding it, I've explored its meaning a little more, and while the energy and intensity was perfect for the scene, the song itself was, well, first off, I can't possibly have been the only viewer adding my own magical hand gestures to reinforce the group project, right? Well, anyway, I can't find out much about it. I thought it was about a breakup, but that was me famously mishearing things again, although other theories suggest a friendship ending. It certainly talks about transition, moving forward, will you be alright, reality, and concept that every new movement contains within it the seeds of its own destruction. Hey, in the words, the end begins just as it starts and leaves me wondering what we left behind. You told me not to talk, please explain my thoughts that float around my mind. So take a step back, will you be alright, feel alright? And now, all this time when we walk, we won't feel. Put some time in a box, it won't steal. You. If it's a breakup song, again, I misheard take a step back as take your stuff back, and of course that's a somewhat different vibe. I'm hearing the long-term residual care a singer felt in the wake of practical disentangling of lives, and take a step back can still refer to that, but it's not quite as on the nose as my read. Oh, this time when I walk, I won't feel. Oh, this time when I talk, it's not real. It's not real. I felt like things would still be alright, but it's not real. It's not real. The singer has been exploring her emotional state for this song, and these various conclusions, well, they sound like they're hanging out at the bargaining and denial stages of the breakup. Again, if that's even a valid read on the song. The addition of houses to my collection is hardly singular. I'll cover more in Sparks, but this set covers a broad range of kick-ass songs that are in here because the sound director found a voice and a vibe to match a scene they were setting. Oh, speaking of which, that same episode, Penny guides Quentin to a memorial where their friends can't quite put their emotions into words, so Katie casts music and they launch into an a cappella version of Aha's Take On Me. Now, I've encountered this song a few times. This song is completely out of place when it appeared in the Super Mario Brothers movie earlier this year. Just, wow, that was not a good place for that song. And it was a brilliant inclusion in Cougar Town, one of the Hawaii episodes where, a fond reflection from 2020, Sam Lloyd's character's superpowers that he can sing any song and make it sound sad. He sings a sad version of Take On Me while Travis tells Jules he's not coming back to Florida with them. But the inclusion of this song in The Magicians, the episode had been titled Scene, but morphed at some point into No Better to Be Safe Than Sorry, a lyric from the song, and why the hell not, the damn thing wrecked me. Tears on my face from a show 4 years in my rear view. Lots of stuff has happened between then and now. Got laid off, found a new job, entered my 50s. I'm told 1.15 million Americans have died from COVID in that time. This show, I didn't even watch everything in the run-up. I've still got this level of regard for these characters. Tears on my face. As the cast gathered around a bonfire, as they sang that lyric, I shut down. It's one of the most beautiful musical passages I've ever seen, and the energy drop from the triumph of Great Northern's houses just a few minutes before their defeat of the monsters, and that sacrifice was a real part of the emotional punch this packed. So needless to say, I'm odds and ends, but I'll be stumbling away, slowly learning life is okay. Say after me, it's no better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take on me, take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. The cast and crew of The Magicians, the story they told, the love they evinced, realized in the telling of this story. Hell, this was the scene that preceded it. Quentin's conversation with Penny, where he talked about the difficulties of his suicidal, neurodivergent growing up, feelings of emptiness, loneliness, and abandonment when he found break bills, that he found his people, he found peace and a sense of belonging, and the question he couldn't shake. Did he save the world, or did he just finally succeed in killing himself? My heart was breaking for this small, beautiful person, grieving his sense of self-worth and whether he truly belonged anywhere. Penny's answer was to show him the bonfire gathering of his friends and their song. Holy Christ, the writing of this show, it destroys so as to heal. It knows its audience, it hears us, finds us, it reaches out and holds us, because most of us can't make cards float, but our magic is also native in this world. We're energy, we're life this world is not always acknowledged, and I am so glad these stories ended up in front of me. I'm absolutely one of the people who needed them. Thank you. The Lost Tracks. So, most of the entries to go missing this set, transferring one PC to the next in this set, were singles. I recently repurchased Careless Whisper by George Michael, The River and I Just Want to Live by Good Charlotte, Kick-Ass Bond theme, The World Is Not Enough by Garbage, performed that as a karaoke about a year ago and left One Note Lodge in the friggin' moon. Santa Maria del Bon Air by the Gotan Project, No Sugar Tonight / The New Mother Nature by the Guess Who, and Holiday and Hitchin' a Ride by Green Day. And while I was replacing missing songs, I added one I know should absolutely be in here. I added Somebody That I Used to Know by Gotye featuring Kimbra, and also an acoustic piano version by Gavin Mikhail. 2 different takes, both valid. I prefer the original, but I enjoyed the bleak depth of feel in the cover. Influences. Starting off with artists I've got their entire LPs, I brought in this set from a cassette I know I was listening to when I was working up in Botno, the early 90s, Gin Blossom's 1992 release, New Miserable Experience. I was always sure there was some kind of Hey Jealousy parody potential for DS9, Hey Judsia, but I never spent any time with it. Honestly, where were you gonna... Do those spots go all the way? How about the bot they're on? Stop right here and apologize to actress Sari Farrell. I was in my 20s. I was doing a lot of song parodies. No, don't feel like that ever needed to exist. I'm sorry that it does. If you don't expect too much from me, you might not be let down. I loved the Triple episode remake, but Gin Blossoms, this was such a low-key, talented group in the mold of Toad the Wet Sprocket and Lisa Loeb, all in the shadow of Nirvana and Pearl Jam, making incredible music in their own right. I don't think I've ever appreciated them enough, but getting ready for this had their songs in my ears. I truly enjoyed the subtle self-deprecation. Well, the stalkery and Found Out About You was a little cringe, but I've said it before, the human experience is broad and songs aren't always from our absolute best place. The poetry in Until I Fall Away is an intriguing examination of the soul in crisis. Verse the second talks about his fear that he'll never find love again as the singer examines his life for insight. I want to tell if I ever am not myself. It's hard to know how far if it all could go. I've waited for too long for something I forgot was wrong. I don't know all the answers and think that I'll find or have it within the time. But it's all that I have in mind. Until I fall away, I won't keep you waiting long. Until I fall away, I don't know what to do anymore. Until I fall away. And closing out with, when there's no good answers, and no new questions, another personal disaster. There's nowhere to go but down. Interesting. I also enjoyed Allison Road and My Hands Are Tied. Overall, New Miserable Experience is a strong entry from a great group with a good, gritty sound that holds up over the years. Canadian pianist Chili Gonzales' 2010 released Ivory Tower. I think I was impressed with the song that played over the 2010 iPad commercial and decided to bring in the whole thing. Well, for sure, other people like him more than I do. There's this edgelord energy to his persona that would be exhausting in any prolonged interaction. I'm so dark and interesting, but give him credit. The song I Am Europe is hilarious. I'm socialist lingerie. I'm diplomatic techno. I'm gay pastry and racist cappuccino. I'm an army on holiday at a guillotine museum. I'm a painting made of hair on a nudist beach eating McDonald's. I'm a novel far too long. I'm a sentimental song. I'm a yellow tooth waltzing in wraparound shades. Who am I? I'm Europe. Oh my god. His instincts for performance and musicality are strong. He's got great note attack, and I thought the piece Barack Obama was very cool, and Pixel Paxel was effervescent. Also enjoyed The Grudge. We're like Barack and McCain, Mozart, Salieri, Houdini, and what's his name? You know, the guy in Montreal who hit him in the stomach. You're my mountain. I will take a whiz on the summit. And from that very high altitude, I will be the one with high horse attitude. Overwritten and confrontational, but again, that attitude seemed to be a persona he pulled on, or I hope so. It seems like he'd be insufferable otherwise. I've also got the self-titled Gorillaz release from 2001, which I brought in because I love the vibe they built in Clint Eastwood. The song, yes, but also the video, since this was an animated band and that's how they exist. There's something about the lead singer from Blur, I guess. I wrote a sketch for Prairie Home Companion back in 2001. I never heard back about it, that's fine, but I thought it was pretty good. I pulled it up and read through it. I think it holds up. As written, host Garrison Keillor follows a folk number on his show with a guest. The late Jim Nader died in 2013, sorry to hear. Anyway, Nader was responsible for the annoying music show on NPR, so it's all in public radio at this point. Prairie Home Companion, you might remember, was a weekly 2-hour variety show that ran for years on public radio. In the sketch, Garrison invites Nader Nader on his show to highlight a discovery he said was made in the back of a barn in Indiana, a bunch of wax cylinder recordings of musical stylings of one Elmer Balswasser in the early 1900s. They play them, and one track sounds eerily similar to Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz, and purportedly other musicians as well.
I'm happy, I'm feeling good, I got sunshine in a bag, I'm useless, but not long, the future is coming on.
Along with the old-timey wax cylinder version, I'd written to have a live performance of the piece by house musicians that sounded like country music, and I comment about how they sound different live, don't they? Which put up against the studio recording people who'd been familiar with that summer. Apart from forming the core of a cheesy comic radio sketch idea I had decades ago, I did enjoy the Gorillaz. I only ever got their first release, but I enjoyed 5-4, I enjoyed Rock the House, Clint Eastwood was awesome, Latin Simone, as was 19-2000. There's a monkey in the jungle, watching a vapor trail, caught up in the conflict between his brain and his tail, and if time's elimination, and we've got nothing to lose, please repeat the message, it's the music that we choose. Green Day's 2009 release, 21st Century Breakdown, traces a thread of enemy and anarchy as citizenship and representation falls into chaos in the wake of the ongoing war on terror at home and abroad. Two young Americans, Christian and Gloria, I don't know why I think they're white, but I suspect it, look at the world around them and make choices. Christian chooses violence and wrath, heading into the streets armed and angry, and Gloria I've got less of a window on, but she seems insufferable, using drugs and spinning conspiracy theories to keep from facing reality. The song of the century opens with some discordant chaos. Their lives before the breakdown seem pretty normal, actually. I have to deal with that destruction in the wake of their embrace of it. There are several themes that tromp through the LP. Static is disruption, information that is not landing, young people surviving 8 years of America's war on terror, a lot of them a lot more directly than I did, for sure, and the concept of a war on terror that should have woke us up a little anyway. No one wanted to bill it as a modern crusade or anything, and that's valid, but I can't deny that what I was hearing most clearly through this era was, and we're not fighting Islam, oh no, just the terrorists, with some kind of exaggerated Aunt Agatha wink. The second front we opened in Iraq was such a giveaway. Colin Powell with a vial of anthrax at the UN. That argument being, well, since we're over there anyway, is just, damn, that man once had integrity. But yeah, trying to get inside the heads of post-slacker millennials at a specific moment in history, Abu Ghraib and Gitmo, housing market crash, unemployment, widespread disillusionment with our leadership, talk about historical touchstones. The LP was released like 2 weeks after the death of Osama bin Laden. For 8 years we had just been Americaing all over Asia, and building up such strong regional alliances that 12 years later, the moment Americans pulled up stakes, the Taliban resumed control of everything like basic mob bosses. The LP boiled 45 songs down to 18, which they started working on in January of 2006. Early in the track list, lead singer Billy Joel Armstrong sings a frenetic song about identifying your enemies. There's discussion about looking around and wondering if there's a damn thing worth dying for. 21st Century Breakdown. I once was lost and never was found. Other lyrics include, video games to the towers full. Homeland Security could kill us all. My generation is zero. I never made it as a working class hero, as well as, my name is no one, the long lost son, born on the 4th of July, raised through the era of heroes and cons that left me for dead or alive. I'm hearing disillusionment, I'm hearing anger, and no absolutely fantastic target for it, and the characters they create react to the world in which they find themselves. In one of the most exuberant and terrifying tracks on the LP, Christian runs out in the street and shoots at terrorists and infidels. Peacemaker has him singing, I'm gonna send you back to the place where it all began. Vendetta, sweet vendetta, this beretta of the night, this fire and the desire, while shots ringing out in the holy parasite. Well, now the caretakers, the undertakers, I'm gonna go out and get a peacemaker. This is a Neo St. Valentine's massacre. We'll call up the Gaza, hey, 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 hey. Well, death to the ones at the end of the serenade. Well, death to the ones at the end of the serenade. Well, death to the ones at the end of the serenade. I don't know that it resolves, since it never actually has, but this release made what I would characterize as a creditable attempt to forge a response to the enemy of post-slacker millennials, people who came and were coming of age in the shadow of 9/11 to talk about the shared experience they were having. As he was referencing specifically the class of 13, that cohort was in its first week of first grade. Some of them were hearing a president read to them at the time, My Pet Goat. Billy Joe spent a couple different presidential administrations searching for that voice. Given that the war stretched for more than a decade beyond its release, I thought they carried the attitude pretty well. Mostly the repeated check-in with listeners. Do you know the enemy? With the implicit instruction, it's not always going to be who you're told it is. Look beyond what the media and the loudest voices are telling you. We've learned that powerful interests can weaponize our rage and identify targets for it. So thank you, Green Day. It's good to have artists point this out from time to time. Breakouts. Kicking off artists with multiple entries in my collection, I was listening to Freedom 90 by George Michael on my walk home and wanted to feature it somewhat. First, what a terrible loss to this world. I mean, I can't give him father figure, but he reinvented himself entirely from the pop duo Wham and his blockbuster 1987 release, Faith, to what we were hearing from him by the release of 1990's Listen Without Prejudice Volume 1, like the soulful, introspective Praying for Time. Absolutely added that one, and Freedom 90. Heaven knows I was just a young boy, didn't know what I wanted to be, didn't know what I wanted to be. I was every little hungry schoolgirl's pride and joy, and I guess it was enough for me. To win the race, a prettier face, brand new clothes, and a big fat place, I rock and roll TV. But today the way I play the game's not the same, no way. Think I'm gonna get myself happy. I think there's something you should know. I think it's time I told you so. There's something deep inside of me. There's someone else I've got to be. Take back your picture in a frame. Take back your singing in the rain. I just hope you understand that sometimes the clothes do not make the man. All we have to do now is take these lies and make them true somehow. All we have to see is that I don't belong to you and you don't belong to me. Yeah, yeah. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Gotta give what you take, yeah, yeah. What stood out for me was the reference to MTV, which was still a thing in 1990, absolutely, and you could see his intention with this video. For one thing, he's not even in the thing, and the most iconic aspects of his Faith video he destroyed, the guitar, the biker jacket, and the jukebox. Per Wigglemania, he felt this would begin the process of deconstructing the bad boy image he'd crafted launching his solo career and taking the next step within the visual medium as he began transforming his public image to conform to his private reality, rather than from one LP to the next. Oh, and by the way, I'm gay now, so trendy. Leading with a quietly thoughtful and topical Praying for Time spoke to that choice as well. I was struck anew by Freedom 90's discussion of MTV and image when I was listening to it on my walk home from work. The marketing and distribution of music and airplay of music is something you watched. My sister once told me she never got the point of Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, and it's like, well, it's not really a song, it's a music video. Guest voice on that release, Sting, opens with, I want my MTV. And the whole thing is a couple blue-collars laboring full-time moving furniture complaining that musicians, all they do is sing and play. They ain't even working. That's the way you do it. You get your money for nothing and your chicks for free. Apparently the lead singer overheard a moving guy making this observation and quoted him as much as he could directly in writing the thing. So I've talked about this elsewhere. Music videos were a huge source of new music for me. I ran into a bunch putting episode 90 together, including Green Day, Will Smith, Ludacris. From that cataloging effort, I added a couple singles to my Apple Music catalog. It's how we were doing music when I was listening to it, and George Michael's explicit commentary on how music videos helped market him and build his brand assisted him in reshaping his public image as well. This space discusses multiple entries, and along with I just added his Praying for Time, which my initial reaction was a little pandery, preachy, but I sat with it for a moment. I also had his Careless Whisper, released in 1984, appears in my catalog from its Ladies and Gentlemen, the Best of George Michael compilation, released around 1998. There's the high drama, high school dance pop hit, complete with the over-the-top sax. Well, that was when I was listening to it. Everything was terribly earth-shattering and emotional, so, yeah, Careless Whisper. And here's kind of what I was talking about before. I've got a few entries Apple Music attributes as being from the cast of Ryan Murphy's production of Glee. I have Mr. Shue and Neil Patrick Harris singing Dream On, which when I brought it in I think was the only access I had to that song digitally. But since then Aerosmith's catalog has been added to Apple Music, so yay. I have Leah Michelle's Boss cover of Barbra Streisand's Don't Rain on My Parade. I've got Cass singing a couple of originals, Loser Like Me and Get It Right. Now, two separate podcasts, VideoFuzzy is not VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack, and the presence of Ryan Murphy's music isn't significant beyond the song was used in the show and I liked it and added to my collection. This is almost certainly how Gotan Project, Santa Maria del Buonar, and my Goldfrapp entries got in here, by way of Ryan Murphy's production Nip Tuck, Gillian Welch's Annabelle from Justified. At least 30 acres and one Jenny Mew from the Alabama Trust. And through the cotton and half of the corn, get a handful of dust. We cannot have all things to please us, no matter how we try, until we all go to Jesus. We can only wonder why. Good Lord, incredible song, incredible inclusion. Track that down. The Glitch Mob with Our Demons. That song made an appearance in the 2018 movie Den of Thieves, and I added it. Oh, I absolutely bought The World's Not Enough Garbage. In my way, it's having been a Bond theme, most definitely. The other entry in my collection by them, Temptation Waits, came in for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack as well. And as with the fifth dimension for my F entries, Gavin Mikhail and the cast of Hair gave me a couple for inclusion here. Hair, obviously, and The Flesh Failures / Let the Sun Shine In, which I especially love for the Shakespeare reference under the Manchester reprise, Romeo's line in Juliet's tomb. Eyes look your last, arms take your last embrace, and lips glorious portals of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, seal with a righteous kiss, the rest is silence. The Ryan Murphy ties will crop up more usually because, as I've long acknowledged, Murph has one of the most subtly developed instincts for weaving music into a storytelling that I've encountered anywhere. Him and Joss Whedon are both extraordinary, but key foundations for my music collection are more nebulous and much harder to identify than those in my media collection. I'd say R.E.M., the Indigo Girls, and Tori Amos have a pretty good lock on musical centrality in my music collection, supported by so many artists, including Ani DeFranco, Brenda Weiler, Bush, Evanescence, Enya, Madonna, Alanis Morissette, Leonard Cohen, The Cure, Melissa Etheridge, Queensryche, Sarah McLachlan, Stabbing Westward, just lots. Good Charlotte almost runs in the reverse in my collection. I heard their single, The River, around the same time as their series premiere of Saving Grace. Thought there were a lot of cool parallels for message and imagery. I transferred my VHS recording of the pilot episode to my PC and crafted a fan bid. The problem I had with the final result had nothing to do with the recording. The show seemed to be blaming rock music for social ills, which, wow, you had Everlast sing your theme song and you've got a problem with rock music. I included a disclaimer. Generally, I'm a fan of Holly Hunter and the Grace Anadarko character she created for the TNT production. damaged, sinful, completely unbothered, and that was the point. She'd lost her sister in the Oklahoma City bombing, and as we learned later, had been sexually abused by a priest. She leaned right into public nudity, sleeping with her married partner, sleeping around generally, drinking too much, driving drunk, generally behaving in ways that would probably get her fired from Oklahoma City police force. But her Boy Scout nephew and her brother, the priest, played by Tom Irwin, kept at her about being a better person, and her guardian angel, Earl, played by Leon Rippey, started off by saying he was fine with her just the way she was, but as the show progressed, he was making more demands on her to be better. The weird Catholicness of the show got to be burdensome. She's got a friggin' angel, takes her on angel quests and does angel magic, and once left a feather for Grace's friend Laura San Giacomo for the forensics lab to analyze, and heaven is for real! Pef. And Good Charlotte's song has sectarian themes, baptism, prodigal son, etc., but focused on coming-of-age experiences and making one's way in the world. They say evil comes disguised as a city of angels. I'm walking towards the light, baptized in the river. I've seen a vision of my life and I want to be delivered. In the city was a sinner. I've done a lot of things wrong, but I swear I'm a believer. Like the prodigal son, I was out on my own. I'm trying to find my way back home. Baptized in the river, I'm delivered, I'm delivered. For a lot of Gen Xers, we were stepping away from organized religion. We'd gone through the motions growing up and decided it was basically BS. So songs like this were edgy. Of course, that wasn't my experience exactly, because I didn't leave the church till I was in my very late 30s, but I definitely had to rationalize a lot of doctrine by then. The pilot episode was a great vibe for this song, and I determined well before it aired that it was going to do a mashup. The fan vid was great, I thought. Well, it was okay. It jumped around some, and the narrative was hard to follow, and the show absolutely had issues. It didn't stop me from watching all 3 seasons of it, but it had gone way off the deep end by the end. Oh, I also had Good Charlotte's I Just Want to Live, so they fit in this segment. I truly love that song. I rock a lawsuit when I'm going to court, and a white suit when I'm getting divorced, and a black suit at the funeral home, and my birthday suit when I'm home alone, talking on the phone. Got an interview with the Rolling Stone. They're saying, now you're rich and now you're famous. Fake-ass girls all know your name, and lifestyles of the rich and famous. What's your first hit? Aren't you ashamed of the life, of the life, of the life you live? I just wanna live. Don't really care about the things that they say. Don't really care about what happens to me. I just want to live. 2 breakouts I don't think I need to go into a lot of detail with. I love Jesus, He Knows Me from Genesis, as well as Land of Confusion, which I was talking about music videos. These guys got together with the Sid and Marty Krofft people and did an amazing video featuring puppets of like all kinds of famous people from the era, worth tracking down. I also enjoyed Disturbed's cover of that one and have it in my collection as well. I also have I Can't Dance, which I thought was a great, chill-free vibe. Very tense and hyper-observant. I also pulled in Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, and Rocket Queen from Guns N' Roses, along with their November Rain, which is a perfectly good elegy with a great dramatic build. But if I'm just throwing on something to listen to, I guess I'd go with Rocket Queen. I prefer Def Leppard's Rocket for lots of reasons, but Rocket Queen is a great coming-of-age piece with some wild energy, and structurally I enjoyed the build-up to the climax and then the afterglow portions of that song. Nice one. Sparks. And in my One Song by One Artist segment, I technically talked about songs from shows already, but I needed to separate out Garfunkel and Oates for their entry from their Rule 34 episode of their self-titled IFC production. The one where Tig Notaro plays an over-at public television executive who more or less confirmed the gay agenda was to turn everyone gay. They're just bad at it, I guess. Well, that's what the agenda says, she said. Turn them while they're young. What? The context was Bert and Ernie analogs on Pumpernickel Place. Schubert and Stockley had decided to get married, and the station needed a song for it. Garfunkel and Oates, the porn versions of them, both submitted songs. Their porn versions saying, "Come on, kids," and Kate and Ricky saying, "Rainbow Connections." Just after the storm breaks with a perfect amount of light, You can catch a glimpse of magic if the timing is right. Rainbows are improbable, beautiful and rare, but so are you, and so is this, the love that we share. Too vast to hold and too small to name. It's no wonder why you have to stand between the rain and the sun to see a rainbow in the sky. All the things that had to go right, all the things that had to go wrong, that led us to the place where we were going all along. Right now they fall away. Right now it's just us two. Right now we make a promise. If you do, then I do too. I love that song so much I included the scene in our wedding DVD. Now I stand with you for the world to see, our love, our dreams, and me. Our love, our dreams, and me. Right now they fall away. Right now it's just us two. Right now we make a promise. If you do, then I do too. We met for the first time 12 years ago next month. Married 8 years now. The adventure continues. Love you, Ralph. Thanks for everything. Shifting gears a bit, I love the Fire Grace Potter and Nocturnal single, Paris. Ooh la la. That song has a fantastic energy. Guys got her down on the floor, got her up in a sling, and she is down. If I was a man, I'd make my move. Ooh, ooh. If I was a blade, I'd shave you smooth. Ooh, ooh. If I was a judge, I'd break the law. Ooh, ooh. And if I was from Paris, yeah, if I was from Paris, I would say ooh la 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 la. Ooh, ooh, ooh la 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 la. She sounds fun. What else? I got Ghost in here. I need way more Ghost in my collection. It's definitely gonna happen. I fell down a Ghost hole watching their videos one night a couple years back, and I was talking about them VideoFuzzy, episode 78.
While tracing these missing songs, I discovered a song by Ghost in my collection that I haven't heard in quite a long time called Square Hammer, which I see was released in 2016 but could have been released in 1986 for a tour with Queensryche. The song pairs relatively straightforward metal chord progressions with satisfyingly evocative lyrics. The overall effect is theatrical and chilling and epic even. I fell into a bit of a hole tracking their other videos. Dance Macabre stands out, and there's some good covers as well. Well worth checking out if you get a chance.
Yeah, fantastic vibe. Hiding from the light, sacrificing nothing, still you call on me for entrance to the shrine, hammering your nails into a sacred coffin. You call on me for powers clandestine. Are you on the square? Are you on the level? Are you ready to swear right here, right now, before the devil, that you're on the square, that you're on the level, that you're ready to stand right here, right now, right here, right now? Gotye released Somebody That I Used to Know in 2011, his version featuring Kimbra. Gavin Mikhail released an acoustic piano cover afterwards. The difference in the two was subtle, but I liked it. Gotye's original laid the blame for the breakup entirely on his ex-lover's mercurial heart. In her response, Kimbra cited his gaslighting and recriminations as her reasons for falling out of love. Meanwhile, Gavin's version had a single vocalist who's relieved the relationship ended because of all the times he screwed him over. Well, the assumption is that it's an opposite-sex breakup because the original, it's not necessarily. You didn't have to cut me off, make it like it never happened and that we were nothing, and I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger and it feels so rough. No, you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number. I guess I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Breakup songs. Wow, just a no. You knowing she changed her number means you called it. So yeah, sounds like she did maybe needed to. So learn from that what you will. Especially this couple. My word, I love George Benson and Thelma Houston's Don't Leave Me This Way is in my collection. This one, incidentally, not from the Motown Dance Hits cassette I got 30 years ago. Nope, I added this bop in 2017. Don't leave me this way. I can't exist. I'll surely miss your tender kiss. Don't leave me this way. Baby, my heart is full of love and desire for you. Now come on down and do what you gotta do. You started this fire down in my soul. How can't you see it's burning out of control? Come on, satisfy the need in me, 'cause only your good loving can set me free. Beautiful, and of course the original had an absolutely fantastic bass line. Pull that up and check it out. Winding down here with a couple of singles that speak to moments in a lifetime. The first is a song I think I only ever heard in Top 40 radio. I had the hardest time tracking this down later when I was looking for it anywhere online, though I see they've since added it to Apple Music. The Graces, off their 1989 Perfect View LP, singing Lay Down Your Arms. I was working the night shift at a convenience store at summer. I was home from college. I was 19 years old. There's no way that was okay, but one of the stations, they'd play pop music overnight, and the song stood out for me. I loved it. Well, it was the late 80s. If you loved a song and they stopped playing it, you're at the mercy of distribution, and according to Wikidoodle, the song peaked at 56, so that was not widely available. So we are in love, so we are at war, but we can be on the same side. Lay down your arms, lay down, 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 down. Why'd you want to go and shoot love to the ground? Lay down your arms, lay down, 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 down. Lay with me. Lay with me. What I didn't know until I was writing this up was that there's a cover release from the Graces' lead singer Charlotte Caffey's former Go-Go's bandmate Belinda Carlisle in 1993. The song's a bit extremier, it's sultrier, it's steamier, and I don't, in all honesty, think Belinda knows what the song is about any more than the director of the Wild West-themed video they shot for it. I only mention it because he's not credited anywhere, but if that is not a mid-90s era Jared Leto in that video, then they cast someone specifically to look like him, which would be the only reason to call it up and look at it. Link in my show notes. Oh, I also posted a couple comparison shots in VideoFuzzy's Instagram. Take a look and see for yourself. Finally, closing out this one, I saw Apple Music had also added a second song I had trouble finding from the mid-80s, GTR's multi-format presentation of When the Heart Rules the Mind from 1986. That song was one of the first music videos I saw on a summer trip to Yellowstone with my family, and we stayed in a cabin that got MTV, so it's a core memory. I remember it was sort of a sparse stage, and the song traces through a few different concepts, opening as a standard rock song and transitioning halfway through some sort of Renaissance-inspired ballad post towering dramatic interlude. The video shifted to black and white through that passage, and honestly, I included the link so you can pull it up, but what I'm seeing is an overall lack of direction, lack of vision, an approach to editing I think can be described as frenetic, if not exhausting, and a generalized lack of cohesion. But it was a song released in the 1980s, so they made a video of it. This video had weird energy. It had the artists performing back to back with one another. It had dancing unworthy of high school prom, and it had a multi-level stage that if I'd taken an overhead shot on the thing might actually have inspired the design of Prince's unpronounceable symbol. I mostly included it because it is how I experienced this song when I did, and when it slipped out of rotation I had the worst time finding it again. I was happy to see it available through Apple Music because whatever I thought of the video, I do enjoy the song, and it's good to have a decent copy of it. When the heart rules the mind, one look and love is blind. When you want the dream to last, take a chance, forget the past. When the heart rules the mind, one look and love is blind. When you want the dream to last, take a chance, forget the past. And that'll wrap us up for the G's. Thank you all so much for checking in on me as I poke around in my music collection. As always, anything that might have reminded anyone of singing in this or any VideoFuzzy production, let me assure you it wasn't. Any low-bar karaoke attempts you may have encountered in this tiny little project would only been included for illustrative purposes as part of fair use review and certainly weren't meant to infringe on anyone's licensing, copyright, or distribution agreements. Go forth, buy songs, and support the artists you love. Meanwhile, please add, follow, and subscribe to VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack wherever you get podcasts, and with any questions, comments, or artist suggestions, please contact me through my show notes or by email at tjaman1970@yahoo.com. For VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack, I'm Terry J. Aman. Happy listening.